All right. So, first of all, before we even start anything, all right, I just want to apologize, number one, because not only am I having mic issues, or at least before I started this, I did. Maybe it's going to turn out fine. I have no clue. But anyway, so not only was I dealing with that, I got a mower going on outside, I got the washer inside. So, I don't know how this is going to turn out. Not even going to lie. But anyway, so nevertheless. So jumping straight into it, I know what you're thinking. Why is this video 3 days late? I have a life, believe it or not. I know that's shocking, but kind of have stuff I got to do. So, just so happens that I'm just now getting to this video. So anyway, so we're gonna talk about something that I love to talk about. Um, Not only just college football, but more specifically, the Ohio State Buckeyes. If you can't tell, I'm a Buckeye fan. If you can't tell by that, you're pretty stupid. But anyway, so this Saturday was the first game of the season. It was a milestone when you look back on time. Not only was it Ryan Day's first official head coaching game, it was also Justin Fields' first game. And when I mean Ryan Day's official first head coach game, I mean without Urban Meyer suspended. He was technically head coach last season. It's not what I mean. I mean now this is officially his program. So anyway, when we look back on it, that's going to have some um, historic value, I guess you could say. So anyway, Ohio State defeated FAU, the Ohio State Buckeyes, versus the Florida Atlantic Hurricanes. I mean Owls. Bad joke. I'm sorry. Sorry about anybody whose lives is getting ruined by that hurricane. Thoughts and prayers to you. I take that joke back. I'm sorry. But anyway, so Ohio State defeats FAU 45-21. Let me double check on that. Yeah, 45-21 Ohio State. So anyway, so we're going to talk about this because there has been a lot of talk about college football, being that it is the first college football weekend. Obviously, the Heisman has already been declared to a bunch of different people, including, first of all, ETN, Trevor Lawrence, pretty much already, to Justin Herbert. I guess you can throw Herbert in there too, even though he didn't have a great name or a great game. Jalen Hurts already being looked at as the number one pick. He had one game. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about Ohio State. First of all, Justin Fields, transfer quarterback in from Georgia. Ever since I heard his name, looked him up, got to look at him, loved everything about him. His high school stuff from his high school years. I don't know why I couldn't say that right, but anyway, stuff from his high school years. The stuff they did at Georgia with him, even though he was used just as a running back, still nice stuff. But anyway, so there's been a lot of questions with this kid. People wondered if he was really as good as people thought he was, being the fact that he was looked at as next to, if not better than Trevor Lawrence. Yes, I said better than Trevor Lawrence. No, I'm not crazy. Go back and look at it. Coming out of high school, they were neck and neck. Some had Fields better, some had Lawrence better. It's just how it is. But anyway, so Justin Fields on Saturday went 18 for 25, 234, 4 TDs, and then 1 rushing touchdown. So he tied the school record for most touchdowns in a debut. Some say he broke it. I'm going to say he tied it because there's been so much talk about it. I'm just going to say he tied it. Maybe he broke it. I don't know. But anyway. So obviously he had a really good game. That first quarter, putting up as many points as they did within like 5 minutes. I think it was like 3-4 touchdowns within the first 6 minutes. Absolutely insane that first quarter. Now, fourth play of the game, Justin Fields has his longest run of the day. 51-yard touchdown run. Line did a great job for him. Wide open hole. He sold that read option perfect, every single linebacker, safety, whatever, bought on it hard, started going that way. Bam, he's gone. So anyway, so a great start to the game. If you didn't watch the game, everything was going about as perfect as it could be that first quarter, even into the second quarter. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, first of all, number one, last year the defense was pathetic. That is an understatement. Now, obviously, Nick Bosa was hurt, ended up sitting out after that TCU game and whatnot. But being that it is still Ohio State, there is absolutely no excuses. So coming into this year, hiring the new coaches that they did, there's a lot of expectations for this defense. Chase Young over the summer. I don't know if you've seen the picture, but he's literally doubled in size. He was a guy last year who he was injured, but last year he was very productive. Even though he wasn't like lights out every play, he was very productive even with the injury. Now, this season, he's been looked at as the number one defensive end. Now that Bosa is gone, both Bosas are gone. We've went from Joey to Nick to Young now, even with Nick. And now that Young's by himself, he's looked at as the guy now at that defensive end position, or number one defensive end position. Obviously, Zach Harrison out of Orange. A lot of hopes with him. We'll see. But anyway, so I don't even know if I mentioned this already, but I went to the game Saturday. Had a great time. But anyway, so Chase Young. He was a guy last year who I thought if he had one more second, he would have double the sacks he had last year. In this game, he ended up having 3 tackles, 2 assists, and they gave him 1.5 sacks. So really 2 sacks, but you know how it goes. Now, let me tell you, talking with my friend after the game, I'm going to steal what he said. So if you're watching, this is you, not me. He said you cannot create a better-looking defensive end in Madden, saying Chase Young right now looks like a fake character from a video game. This dude is no joke. He doesn't just look big in a picture. It wasn't photoshopped. You see all these Photoshop pictures to make guys look bigger than they are. There's a reason why people are drooling over this guy. He is humongous. He is scary big. Now, you look at the other defensive linemen. They're not small, okay? You look at the offensive linemen. Those are some big boys. Chase Young is humongous. Now, did he perform as great as I thought he was going to? No, that's not saying he was bad, but he wasn't as I would have liked to seen a couple more heavy rushes, pressures, a couple more pressures getting in the face of the quarterback. But nevertheless, he did have a good game. Come the end of the season, he's going to get better as the season goes on. Now he has that extra strength, that extra speed. And by the way, he is just as fast as he was last year, if not faster. So that is terrifying. I would hate to be a quarterback and have to look and see that guy on that defensive line. So anyway, Chase Young at the end of the year is going to be a guy who is going to be a top 3 pick. He will go 1, 2, or 3, obviously, barring an injury or some kind of massive drop-off, he will be that high of a pick. Now, we'll see. Obviously, there's 2 quarterbacks coming out that people are super high on. Things always change, but this is a guy who you're going to look, if he participates, if he even comes out, if he goes to the NFL Combine, people are going to go nuts over the numbers that he's going to put out. The guy is humongous, and he's fast. He's going to have a good 40 time. He's going to have a great bench time. He's going to have good lateral. He's going to have a good jump. This guy is a physical freak. He is an absolute freak. And what I thought was when I was watching him play in person, I'm thinking, can I picture him playing on Sundays? Can I see him on an NFL defensive line? Absolutely. I have no question. Absolutely no question. I had questions about injuries with Nick. Joey has had his injury. Chase obviously had his injury, but he played through. He looks a lot better. He's just going to improve. And it's going to be insane what he does. So anyway, also on the defensive side of the ball, Jeffrey Okudah. So this is a guy who last year he shined. He didn't have that breakout moment, I guess you could say. He did look really good, but in this game, I kind of kept an eye on him, similar to Chase Young. Is this a guy I can see in the NFL playing on Sundays? Going into this game, looking at some mock drafts, people had him high, really high. And you look at some of the corners that have come out, with them silver bullets. You got Marshawn Lattimore, you got Malik Hooker, you got Denzel Ward, and it goes on and on and on. This is another guy who's going to be in the NFL with those names. When he came back on that ball and knocked it away, he was not that close. This man in a split second somehow bolted to the ball and got it knocked away. He was physical. He flew to the ball, as did all the other DBs. The linebackers looked about a lot better. The starting defense is a lot better from last year. Now, watching live, I'll say this. I watched live and I went back and watched on TV. Watching back on TV, they looked a lot better than I thought they did from in person. Our starting defense now, starting in the second quarter throughout the rest of the game, was second string, third string guys, which there's still no excuse for. But nevertheless, they were fantastic starting. This whole new defense, if we can keep this up and keep improving, it's going to be lethal. So, yeah, Okudah's going to be a guy who you're going to see a lot of this year. Not really anybody else who, there was guys who shined, who had their own little moment. I'm not going to dig deep into those guys. I wanted to give you my Chase Young, Okudah. So on the defensive side, starters, at least in that first quarter, a huge improvement. People are so high on Oklahoma right now. That Ohio State defense, compared from last year to this year, is so much better than Oklahoma's from last year to this year. It is so much different. So Justin Fields, back to the offense. So J.K. Dobbins, he had 21 rushes for 91 yards. His longest was 17. He had a touchdown. He had a fumble. In person, I thought he looked absolutely pathetic, and that was an understatement. You look at the history of running backs that we have here, going back to Archie Griffin, Eddie George, more recently with your Carlos Hyde, your Ezekiel Elliott. The expectation is high at running back, and Dobbins did not do enough. Okay, when you're playing FAU, you need to have a couple breakout runs. Now, you might look at his numbers and say, well, he didn't play horrible. But you look at ETN, you look at Swift, J.K. Dobbins, and Jonathan Taylor at Wisconsin. J.K. Dobbins should be right along with those names, and he's not, based off this first game. It was not nearly the level it should be at, and that needs to improve. Now, Justin Fields was second leading in rushing, 12 rushes for 61 yards. Longest was that 51-yarder. Justin Fields, going back to him, he looks to me very similar to Cam Newton was. And Cam's a little bit bigger, especially now But Justin Fields is not a small guy. He's a big dude. Um, he took a couple hits that everybody was just like, it's not what you want to see at all. Especially once you get outside of the first quarter, things kind of broke down a little bit. Wasn't a huge fan of play calling. Um, I think when you see him throw the ball, he is lethal throwing and running. People act like he's a one-dimensional player. He's not. He is the perfect quarterback in my eyes. He can run and throw at an elite level. That's why he was ranked so good. And he's going to be because the past quarterbacks at Ohio State, because of what JT Barrett did, getting embarrassed against Clemson in the playoffs, after he broke his ankle, once he came back, he was not JT Barrett. He, since then, has not looked like JT Barrett. And in the media's eyes, that has made us look bad, especially at quarterback. Dwayne Haskins was disrespected in the Heisman race. You know why? Because of the up and down year, number one, and because he doesn't have that dual ability, despite what Stephen A. Smith said. And by the way, Stephen A. Smith is a guy who only knows about basketball. Sorry. But anyway, not to throw shade at Stephen A., I'm just saying. But anyway, so in the media's eyes, we have looked weak as a team. That's why we've been left out of the playoffs. People don't look at us as Clemson, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia. We're now slipped out somehow, mostly, in my opinion, because of JT Barrett. I'm sorry. People say he's the best Buckeye quarterback of all time. No, I'm sorry. Right now, Dwayne Haskins, guy who came behind him, who isn't the prototypical Ohio State quarterback, already is better than JT Barrett. And he played 1 year. So Justin Fields comes in now, and what I seen with that first run, that 51-yard run, was a Braxton Miller healthy JT in his couple first years. When he came off that read option, most quarterbacks, when they do a read option, they're cutting across and then immediately their eyes go straight over because most likely, because that's what you're doing with a read option. You're selling the fake. Either you're handing it off or you're keeping it. You're reading the defensive ends or the linebackers, depending on who it is. So he does a great job of selling that handoff to the point where it was literally last second way out here till he pulled it. So every linebacker, every safety is coming up this way. Hole opens up here, gone. That looked exactly like what you would see out of Braxton. JT healthy. Justin Fields, when his career's over here at Ohio State, we're going to look back and say, whoa, he was one of the best of all time to play here as far as quarterback. And I hope that he can stay healthy. He's going to get more comfortable as the time goes on. I know he may not be talked about in the Heisman race because of these other big-name quarterbacks who are going to get all the media attention. But Justin Fields is either, to me, he's a top 3 quarterback right now in college football. I would have Justin Fields over Jalen Hurts right now. And I'm a guy who loved Jalen Hurts. I was sad when Tua started over him. And that's not because Tua sucks. That's just because I loved watching Jalen Hurts. And let's be honest here, if we take off the Buckeye glasses here, if Justin Fields didn't come to Ohio State and he went to Oklahoma, which actually is what I thought he was going to do, we would have had Jalen Hurts. Don't act like we wouldn't have. We would have. So you look back at it right now. You see what Jalen Hurts did at Oklahoma. You see what Justin Fields did at Ohio State. To me, I would rather have Justin Fields. Just based off of the offense that we run, how similar he is to the JTs, the Braxtons, except he can throw much better than those guys even dreamed of. He can run. He can throw equally as good. Jalen Hurts knows how to win at the highest level, but Justin Fields is a better athlete and a better fit for this program. So, based off this first game, the sky's the limit. We're going to have a really tough game against Cincinnati. There was obviously some things you can't ignore outside of that first quarter, that some of the reads were not good. Some of the play calling, defense wasn't. Things just, it started like this and just started like that. Okay. We could have just gone straight up. We could have hung 80 points on them Saturday. I was there. Trust me. We could have hung 80 points. And it looked like we should have. So we will see. I think our schedule is tougher than we thought it would be. Everybody said this was going to be an easy schedule. Jonathan Taylor is no slouch. He is a beast. He is Jonathan Taylor, Etienne, and Swift. Hopefully Dobbins too. But those guys, at the end of the day, are going to be the running backs that force their name in the Heisman race because of how good they are on a consistent basis. So, yes, it's the first week. Yes, there's a lot of learning to do. But takeaways from that first game, if you're Ohio State, number one, Justin Fields looks like the real deal. Number two, that defense is a lot better. There's a lot of improvements. Tackling, a billion times better. Go back and watch that Purdue game from last year. Turn around and then watch this game. Tell me which one tackles better. So, number one, Fields looked great. Number two, defense looked great first quarter, which is the starter. So, that's what I'm going to go by. I'm going to have the glass half full. Number three, we got the job done. Play calling wasn't always as great as I would like it to have been. But in Ryan Day's first official head coaching game, not too bad. Next week's going to be a major test. It's going to be maybe not roster-wise on paper, but as far as heart and attitude, it's going to be similar to Ohio State, Michigan. They're going to want to kill each other just because of that history. So, anyway, I know this was a little bit of, I don't know what to call it, but anyway, I just wanted to get my thoughts about this game out. Can't wait for this week. We got first NFL game Thursday. Saturday is the Ohio State-Cincinnati. Sunday is the first Browns game. What a great week. What a great week. Thank God football's back. So, yeah, with that being said, go ahead, share this video, like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications by hitting that bell. You'll see it. So, yeah, till now, I don't know. Anyway, see you in the next video. Appreciate you watching. Bye-bye.